Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals about a couple of methods that just don't work that well for natural lifters that work pretty dang well for heavily enhanced lifters. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you're not following or subscribed, please do so, and if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I'd appreciate it so much. Thank you. All right, and again, this is something I'm saying as someone who keeps up with all the scientific literature, whether it's good or not, it can always be a subject of debate. I've been in this game 25 years, talk to a lot of coaches, make a lot of observations, coach a lot, coach full time. Some things that I've noted, a few things that I've noted. Methods that seem to work great for a lot of really serious, hardcore, enhanced bodybuilders, and things that just don't work that well for even drug-free young men. And that's going to be intensity techniques and really high volumes of training. And if anything, I've made numerous videos saying, look, I've had clients who hired me as novices who were literally stuck, who were trying to do 25 sets of muscle group, 25, 26, and were making absolutely zero progress. Okay? I took them down to 10 sets, and then all of a sudden they're hitting PRs. And when I say no progress, I don't think people understand what we mean. What I mean is, like, let's say they're stuck benching 135, that's one plate aside. So like 60 kg for my non-Americans. Right? For 5 reps, they're stuck there for 2 months straight. Okay, that's what we mean by they're just not making any progress. And I had one like that, was a perfect example. And I look, and he was literally doing twice a week, something like 3 sets of bench, 3 sets of dips, 3 sets of incline, 3 sets of flies, and some other stuff. Or it might have been even like 4 or 5 sets of flies. So I counted it up, and I'm like, you're doing 26 sets for your chest a week. It's like, yeah, and he was making zero progress. I took him down to just working bench press and band press downs and some overhead pressing, all right? And then all of a sudden, we had him before long putting another 30 pounds on that. So, 135 rod, where he was doing sets of 5 with like 165, 170, within 2 to 3 months. All right. And he got bigger. His squats went up, his deadlifts went up, but he was trying to train like that. And it's just, I've observed it over and over, and I've seen plenty of the guys who buy into this evidence-based thing, and I know of some who they're still novice small, and they're trying to do these 30, 40 sets a week per muscle group, and they're not getting results. And I've seen people who do it for years, and I've made many observations of this. These ultra high volumes of training just don't work. And what I personally find for most drug-free lifters, 15 to 20 sets seems to be the cutoff. And I personally find that when they start exceeding this, they start stagnating, okay? And I find pretty much everybody makes good gains on about 10, okay? Everyone makes good gains on about 10. And even if I take people over to a full body, 3 sets of bench 3 times a week, or 3 sets of anything chest 3 times a week, their chest and bench go up, right? Same thing, like they literally just squat 3 sets 3 times a week. Their quads grow. And it doesn't matter where people are at. So, that case, you're talking about 9 sets, not counting any splash over. But keep in mind, other movements are going to have carryover. Your overhead pressing, any dips are going to hit those same muscles. Obviously, deadlifts are still going to contribute to your legs. But I think people forget all that. They start adding volume up, and they don't realize how much it starts adding up, especially if you're doing conditioning work, You don't need that much volume. If you're doing box jumps and sleds and things, your legs just do not need a lot of volume to maximize their size at that point, because you're getting extra training effect there. Just throwing that out there. And I find that really, if we start adding all that in, that 10 to 20 tends to be your optimal. And I get guys who make good gains on as low as 6 sets per muscle group. That's only my really, really busy guys. And that's, again, my observation. So if you get guys who are out here doing 25 sets, making no progress, and I have guys who are bigger than you, drug-free, squatting 400, deadlifting 500, who do 6 sets, it's time to rethink what you're doing, you know. Same thing, though, we go over to the other extreme, the intensity techniques. It's like, okay, well, let's just train really, really hard. Intensity techniques don't really work that well for drug-free lifters. And the reason, I've covered this a lot, it just beats up your recovery. I've had guys come in live streams, right, and they're explaining what they do. Well, I'm doing all these sets to failure, then I'm doing drop sets. And it's like, and I can't recover workout to workout. It's like, well, that's why, right? Training 1 rep in reserve, training to failure, those are your sweet spots, right around there. Like that is like your optimal set. You either reach momentary failure, like just where you can't do a full range of motion, complete proper rep anymore, or you have about 1 rep in reserve. Somewhere in that range is your sweet spot on a set-to-set basis. And when you start exceeding that, you're not hitting the deep fibers anymore. You know, people are like, oh, well, I'm trying to get to those deeper fibers, whatever's left. And it's like, you already reached those when you hit failure. In fact, they failed to recruit. That's why you reached muscle failure. You couldn't get to those fibers anymore. Okay? When you go take a really short break and just do rest pause, or you do some of these other things, right, you may not always be getting those fibers again. You may be back to intermediate fibers. And those intermediate fibers just don't grow that much. Okay? They provide very, very minimal growth unless you've introduced a new anabolic. They grow early on, and the longer you train, those fibers grow less and less, and a larger percentage of your muscle growth with no drugs tends to come from the really fast twitch fibers. Well, if your sets are no longer reaching those fast twitch fibers because they're too fatigued to recruit again because you reached muscle failure, it could take up to 2 minutes before you can recruit them again at all. So you see where we're going with the intensity techniques. You're actually just using the same muscle fibers on a lot of those intensity techniques that you use for the first 3 or 4 reps on a 10 rep set. Okay. Well, again, the growth stimulus tends to be minimal. Not saying zero, but it tends to be minimal. And if you train this way, you're not going to be able to do very much volume. Okay. And that's the problem. Dudes will train in this manner and think they're going to try to do 15 sets for a muscle group. It's not going to happen. You're just not going to recover week to week. So again, these are the methods that I tell people just don't work that well for drug-free guys.